Welcome. It's the Close the Deal show. I'm your host, Terrence McCrae, formerly incarcerated. Every week, we bring you business information, tips, and insights from entrepreneurs, business professionals, and inspired individuals from San Francisco Bay Area and beyond, as well as economic empowerment. The Close the Deal show also features public announcements, entrepreneurs, weak and small businesses. And if you're looking for strategies to help you in business or to educate the public, then you're always in the right place on the Close the Deal show. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about something that you will find not only in churches, you will find not only in various different institutions, but you will find throughout the entire economic world of business. Someone organizing, someone arranging, someone or a group of people putting something together in order to sell something, market something, but most importantly, to connect with other people. Today's guest from LB Alliance Group, Event Resource Group, is a well renowned organizer. And I'm talking about someone that makes an impact in whatever she does, but most importantly, her credibility, her history, her record speaks for itself. I'm talking about Mrs. Zoe Moore. Ladies and gentlemen of the Close the Deal show, please allow my guest, Zoe Moore, to not only introduce herself, but share light on event planning. Zoe, welcome to the Close the Deal show.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, what a introduction. I've never, ever received an introduction that amazing. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure in having you today.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
know, how long have you been with your company?
I started my company, LB Alliance, in 2016 with two other friends. April, we were excited about putting together events in the community. One of the gentlemen was a chef, amazing chef, still is to this day. And we want to help him put together a networking event. And after that event, we just got excited about what we could pull off together. We saw people connecting. We had an incarcerated fella who talked about his experience and what he was doing in business. We had a chiropractor who talked about his experience, and everybody in the room was connecting. And we are like, oh, so food and music and an opportunity to speak about your experience brought people together. And so, how can we continue to replicate that?
So, ideally, for someone who got involved in something like this, please allow my viewers to know a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, let's see. I was in the Army for 12 years, Hoa. Um, in those 12 years, I did a number of different jobs. I started out as a liaison between the Army and the host country that we were in. I was a combat photographer. I went to Iraq twice. I was a surgical assistant. I was an IT specialist. I did a lot of jobs because I was a person who always wanted to cross train. I got out in 2014, went to school locally at CSU East Bay, which is Cal State East Bay University, for my master's in hospitality management and tourism. I was introduced to an organization called Meeting Professionals International, Northern California chapter, by one of my professors, Professor Padron, and just learned a lot about the meetings and event space. I was already kind of voluntold when I was in the Army to plan out like galas and different meetings and ceremonies. But this introduction to the organization, the trade association called MPI, really just, expanded my knowledge of what was going on in the meetings and events industry. And I got really excited about what I could accomplish in that space. So, yeah.
So, how did you create the name LB Alliance? What does
Well,
that stand for?
okay, so LB Alliance is a lengthy name. I know it's Lotus Baseline. I was actually in a conversation with a friend after operating in a lot of these spaces where you don't see people of color. And we were just talking about like what does it take to encourage our people to work together, to collaborate, to kind of rise above whatever standard or whatever thought, that they can only achieve to a certain level, to a certain standard or baseline. And so he was like, in order for them to blossom, they have to rise above adversity and they have to understand that leadership is important and organization is important. And so he's like, you always rock lotus flowers and all that kind of stuff. So that conversation, I start to look at the letters lotus, Lotus, and realize everything that he was saying was in the name lotus, leadership, organization. And then the thing that we wanted to do within our community was toughen urban sustainability. So Lotus, something, a flower that I love that has a very symbolic connection, actually spelled out exactly what we were talking about. You know, that in our community, if you bring leaders together, if you organize them, we can actually improve the economic stability in our community through doing business together. And so the alliance is that speaking to collaboration, you know, that we can work together. There can be a whole bunch of different businesses, people with different skills and talents, but if we come together and we're allies, we're stronger together.
So it sounds like to me you went from uniform to entrepreneur. How did that come about?
I think, you know, like I said, I did so many jobs over the course of 12 years, cross-train, and you work with so many different people, you wear so many different hats. Getting out and doing logistics and operations, that's what, you know, event planning really is. It kind of was seamless. You know, it was one of those things where I could organize a whole bunch of people. I used to go into deserts or into Korea and build a whole city with a whole team of people who all had a different role. So they're actually very much connected. And it's funny because in the top 5 most stressful jobs in the US, event planning and being a soldier are on that list. And yeah, I'm doing them both.
Sounds like you're doing more than just both. What inspired me to have you on the show is the fact that, you know, a lot of times when guys get out of prison, they really don't strategize where they want to go with their life. Mm-hmm. And here it is, you're saying you've created a platform where you bring people back into society by indicating what they want to do with themselves now, but also have a course of a meal and drink together, mm-hmm. but do it in a way in which we all benefit from it.
Right. Right. I think, you know, the one thing, the correlation between being in the military and being an event planner is, you know, I'm constantly working with soldiers when I was in the Army. I was a staff sergeant, which is an E6, and I had soldiers that I had to, you know, make sure they attended training, they took care of themselves physically, and you're constantly encouraging them to see that not only is the glass full or half empty, but the glass is refillable. So whatever struggles or barriers that you're up against, you can get over them. And so now being an event planner, I meet talented people like musicians and caterers and, you know, newly returning citizens who have all these skills and talent, regardless of what adversity, like, you know, like a lotus flower sits in mud, whatever adversity that you have to go through to break through and blossom, you can do it. You just need a support system. You need somebody advocating for you. You need somebody promoting you. And you can do anything you put your mind to. So I get to do that as a civilian, is what we call it now. Being an event planner, curating these events where I meet these people, bring them together so that the world can see, so the community can see that this person is, you know, somebody that they should pay attention to.
So I'm going to your website. Mm-hmm. Tell me about LB Alliance. What is LB Alliance Event Resource Group, where people can go and sign up, toughening urban stability, one event at a time?
Well, you know, to tie it all together, like I said, when you're out networking, which is something, Terrence, you know, that's how we met, out networking. When you're out networking, like I said, you meet so many people and you're like, oh, I want to connect you to this person, or I want to connect you to that person. Well, I just was like, okay, I'm meeting all these people. How do I bring them together? How do I make sure that they collaborate intentionally? And so to be an event resource group is to say to someone who's looking for resources to execute an event, we can find that person for you, or we already have that person in our Rolodex or in our alliance. Caterers and DJs and photographers, any element of an event that you need, if we don't already know about that person, we'll go find that person in whatever city that we're in. Right now, we're based in the Bay Area, in Oakland, San Francisco area. We've done events in New York. I've done events in travel to events in South Africa and all that kind of stuff, but just the people that I meet, bringing them together so that when their services are needed in the future, we're resourceful. We have that. And if you are somebody who, whether you are someone needing that support and that advocacy or promotion, you can sign up and become an ally. Or if you're a client and you're looking for staffing and production and procurement of these talented people, we're where you should start when you need to throw an event. You shouldn't do it alone.
So what strategies do you take to develop for an event?
Event planning is it's sometimes it can be a 4 to 6 month process to plan an event. You really have to kind of iron out what details. If I'm looking at it from the client perspective, how many people do they want to bring together? What kind of venue? There's a lot of factors, the transportation to get to that venue, what kind of food, what's the vibe that you want to feel? And so we get all those details together to coordinate an event. And I take it a step further, and I encourage anybody that I work with to do the same, that what is the takeaway? When people leave your event, whether you performing or you're serving food, when they leave your event and your name comes up in conversation at a later time, what's your legacy? What do you want people to remember about your event? Like, I met amazing people. I'm inspired. I overcame this fear or whatever else. What's that takeaway? So we learn all these elements of an event, and it's good to be, think about the logistics and the operation side, but it's also very important to think about how do people feel, and what do they go home at night thinking, like, man, I want to be back at that event. I want to meet, like we met at a tea, venue. I had never been to that venue in San Francisco before, and I really had never been in a situation where I was around all incarcerated men, right? And so I learned some stories, and you get to really meet people in their genuine selves, and wow, you get to address some of those biases that you might have. And that's what I want people to feel at an event. I want you to meet that this food is prepared by a minority business owner, and that food tastes really good, and you may have never heard of them, but if you promote them, advocate for them, support them, then they can do larger events, and you can support their growth by just coming to the event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is something that a lot of times we don't find people doing, regardless of it just being minority, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Just being good nature and spread of mouth always gets results.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the case of people that are considered not underclass, but considered the underdog, it's more or less okay. When you find yourself in the right place at the right time,
right.
situations usually occur for the better.
Right. Absolutely.
So, who have you worked with in the past?
I mean, I had several different clients. I would say, the ones that first come to mind or that have inspired me the most is in 2017, I really was like, okay, what am I doing? I'm a soldier. I'm not an entrepreneur. And then I attended an event by this company called Blavity, and everybody should be familiar. They have an event called Afrotech, and it was at Bespoke in San Francisco, and I volunteered while I was doing my business, and I was standing there at registration as registration opened, and I was flooded by just chocolate faces, all different hues. And these folks coming from Chicago and New York, and they're savvy in tech, they code. I was just flooded with just beautiful people inspired to talk about how they could collaborate. And I was like, this is it right here. So Blavity is one of those companies that will forever have my heart in doing Afrotech. I'll support it any way possible. The other is Black Joy Parade. I'm on a committee with a lot of people. The core team's about 12 people. Black Joy Parade happened this year on February 24th, downtown Oakland. And the founder, Alicia Greenwell, is amazing. And Black Joy Parade, for the most part, manifests, or all of it, manifests the vision of what it is to collaborate and blossom together. And so those are the two. There's a lot more, of course, that inspire me, but those are the two that kept me going, or that keep me going, that shows me that in our community, we work together well. And you just have to have someone who is a leader and who can organize and understand that we're all toughening urban sustainability. That's the Lotus.
So how would you describe yourself as an entrepreneur?
An overachiever. I just I'm working on it. You know, it's a daily grind. You learn a lot about yourself, how to separate, you know, your personal life from your business life. Me, I'm just diligent. I'm really, you know, I did a lot in my life in the military, so I feel like this is my second time around. And me as an entrepreneur is determined, uh, diligent, an overachiever. I do too much sometimes, but I just want to see us thrive. I just want to see us thrive.
Zoe, what's next for you in LB Alliance?
Right now, building a team. The first 3 years, you know, situations have changed. People have gone their different directions. And I have a lot of people who are super interested in supporting, helping me iron out, you know, the mission and the vision. And it's building that team. So I have two event planners that are coming on board that are my sister friends who are super supportive, and we're just going to work on the structure, the infrastructure of our business, which is super important for sustainability, is to identify processes and really just build.
Well, Zoe, not only do I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your insight, but I want to thank you for shedding light to those who don't know about your organization as well as your company, because Lotus is a beautiful name, but the company is more even beautiful. So if there was something that you want people to know and not just getting in contact with you, but why you would be the right person to do their next event, please share with the viewers who they are, because I have thousands of viewers from all walks of life, and a lot of companies watch me as well as a lot of CEOs. Please shed light on why you should be their next event planner.
How long do we have? No, you know, really the focus, I focus a lot on diversity and inclusion, right? And within the organization that I mentioned, you know, I chair a committee that wants to help businesses understand the value of working with underrepresented professionals, to identify that historically we haven't been in these spaces. So if you have an event, to be mindful that your photographer, your DJ, your caterer should be given an opportunity no matter who they are, right? And so to be mindful of those things is to hire a company who's mindful about those things. So if you hire LV Alliance to help execute your event, we're looking at not only the diversity of the staff or the production team, we're looking at supporting that company's diversity and inclusion initiative. We want to make sure your panels are diverse, your audience is diverse, and that your company is represented in a way that, you know, we're moving forward. You know, historically we know everything that took place, but we're talking about the future. And so you start with us, and we help in many different forms and fashion. Like I said, staffing your event, producing it, or procuring from our talented portfolio of underrepresented professionals.
And how do they get in contact with you?
Don't call me because I'm too busy. No, but you can text me or email is fine too. info@lotusbaseline.com. My website, lotusbaseline.com. If you go onto Instagram, Facebook, and you type in Lotus Baseline or LB Alliance, hashtag is Let's Blossom Together. There's many different ways. Social media and email are probably the best way to reach out. And you could call me if you can find the number.
Pleasure in having you on the
All right.
Day Show.
All right, thank
Thank you. Before we close this deal, and if you would like to be a guest on this show, just keep this in mind and remember, Keynote Journey's having an up-and-coming concert here in Oakland at the Complex on April 4th. So log in to Keynote Journey as well. If you have suggestions, questions, or even want to apply to be a guest on the show, San Francisco Bay Area viewers, you can find us every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. on cable Comcast, locally on Channel 29, or you can go online and downstream us at 29.sfc.tv. Remember that. Worldwide, you can find us on the Close the Deal Show on YouTube. You can type my name, Terrence McCray, or click my picture, whichever one you like. Please subscribe, like, and comment on your favorite episodes. Take good care, everyone, and don't forget, Find the right connection in order to close the right deal.